And we back.
And we back, brother. It's been a minute. Feel like forever.
Been too long, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
We back in the door. Walk with me. Podcast series. I am your good brother, Sekond Sun. That's second with a K. You know what I'm saying? Because I am Carolyn's second son.
You heard the man. I go by the moniker Barrlean.
Barrlean,
you know,
brother.
Just in case y'all didn't know, man, this is, or we are inside of the press box.
Yes, we are.
You know what I'm saying?
Feeling real good.
Hate that we left y'all for so long, man. We got so much to give.
Feels like a lifetime.
Man, so much so, man, that my brother had to get in the lab other day, man, and let y'all know
Sure did.
about that no Rona.
Yeah.
I tuned in.
That's what's up.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, this boy is dropping it, man.
Yeah, I had to
dropping
Had to fill in the blank because my good brother, you know what I'm saying? He had, to take care of some real good business. So that's what we do as team players. We come in and play our role. So I decided to go ahead and fill that gap on my channel, the Sekond Sun YouTube channel. Y'all can ease over there and subscribe. That's second with a K, S-U-N. And my first, what I call Walk With Me live session, alone, just me, myself, without my good brother Barrlean, you see what I'm saying? I decided I had to go ahead and fill that gap. And we titled that live, No Rona. K-N-O-W-R-O-N-A, No Rona.
Considering the time that we going through right now,
Yeah.
Co-Rona,
yeah.
You said these folks need to know
No Rona.
Rona.
It's very imperative that we know Rona. You see what I'm saying? Because therefore, it'll allow us to be able to decode a lot of, you know what I'm saying, the mysteries of what's really going on. You see what I'm saying? And then in the same token, it give us the spiritual fortitude, you see, or the spiritual power to bang on that beast. You see what I'm saying? Counterpunch, you know what I'm talking about? And bob and weave, you understand me? And then come back with the right one.
Because that's what they say. A lot of folks say right now, they say, you're woke, or everybody is woke, but
right.
When we first got into it, they call this in the know.
That's right, in the know.
You know what I mean?
In the know.
If you don't know, then you out the loop.
You out of the way.
But if you woke and you on top of the game, you mess with the science, then you in the know. And it's a whole different language that people speak inside of the know. And this is the type of language that we are providing or sharing with y'all with this type of information, because if you're not in the know, or if you're really not woke, see, woke has become so trendy,
right,
that everybody's saying it now. You stay woke and
right.
I'm woken. Now your actions are going to tell if you are woke or not, and your level of comprehension.
Come on now.
And just to go on what you talked about last week, your level of understanding is going to tell if you are in the know or not.
Absolutely.
So,
because your like you say, your actions gonna follow. What you gonna show, you gonna show what you know. That's just how that works. And that's why, again, it's very important to know. You know what I mean? And not detox yourself of this whole spirit of belief.
Right.
Because we out of that age. We're out of that time frame. We eased on into the age of knowing, the age of information. You see, the age of Aquarius, that is. Therefore, there's, as we can see, so many avenues or resources available to us to know and not have to, you see what I'm saying, do a lot of believing or guessing at anything at this point.
And you know when the time is? If you got that know, and then you just remove the K, and it's now. Not now, but right now is the time for you to come on in, man, and really wake up.
Come on now.
Because, you know, how they say in the church, we're going through some tough times right now. You're going through some rough days right now, man. Rough days are up ahead.
You got to build that spirit, man, so you can be able to endure. Because the race is not given. You see, remember this is a marathon, you see? And of course, even with it being a marathon, there's a winner. And you want to be the winner. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, keep this in mind, that the race is not given to the swift.
Come on, man.
Nor to the strong, but to he that endureth until the end. You see, you gotta, you know what I'm saying, make it to the end to even try to see if you the winner anyway. You see?
Man, wait a minute, I just want to say this, man, because I was listening to the show last week and I heard a new term. I'm like, ooh, that's new.
Okay.
Boy said metal cost. Because I'm listening right now. I'm listening as you preach and teach right now. You can say what you want to say, but I recognize when the spirit, you know what I'm saying, is moving through somebody. It's a certain tone or frequency that really make my ears be like, whoa, wait a minute. This is a familiar tone. And so, you know, you brought me back to, you always bring me back to, you know, sitting in a pew, you know what I'm saying, with somebody, you know what I'm saying, sitting in front of me, telling me something, you know what I'm saying? So I'm always at ears. But you said the term Metacostal. Man, explain to these folks right now what you mean by that.
Metacostal, when we say Metacostal, it simply means we're combining metaphysics, come on, with the Pentecostal teachings or Pentecostal school of thought. Because, like I said before, I was raised, like they say, in the church. You see, the COGIC, Church of God in Christ. And that organization is considered a Pentecostal denomination, you see. So like we said before, I'm not one to just throw the baby out with the bathwater, meaning everything that I learned in Sunday school, you see what I'm saying, as it relates to metaphysics and being able to decode what these characters represent, you see. Those Sunday school lessons, once again, I can benefit from them in this spiritual journey of allowing myself to be whole. You see what I'm saying? Spiritually whole. You see what I'm saying? The Sunday school part connected to the Pentecostal denomination is intertwined with metaphysics. Metaphysics is used to define everything that Pentecostal has taught me or us, you see? And so when we say Metacostal, it's just simply giving respect to the foundation.
The foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, I know where you're going with it. I needed the people to know and understand. Yeah. So I guess that kind of make me Meta-Baptist.
Okay, there you have it. There you have it.
Because again,
you have it.
The church is damn near everybody that I know was brought up in the church.
I mean, you know, the majority of us.
You know,
there's very few of us that's gonna say
no
that they were not.
In this area, I don't know no people that were Muslim.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was in the mosque.
Exactly.
You know, I know some people now that I've become old and adult that their parents grew up with some of the teachers of the Nation of Islam.
Right.
But their children came down here to East Texas and we all went to church.
Yes.
You know.
That's what I'm saying.
So again, that's something that as a mature adult that has completely, I ain't gonna say completely because it's a process of waking up, but as I continue to wake up, I was one of those people that bashed the church once I began to get some information.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I talk shit about it. I shit on the church completely.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the pain
I was
coming
a
out.
tyrant and I was overzealous in my approach.
Right.
And as I continue to grow in knowledge and information, I began to understand that I was brought up in the church for a reason. There was a school that now, as I've gotten these other schools through metaphysics, through Islam, through Buddhism, through everything you can think of, you know what I'm saying, numerology, all that shit is different schools of thought.
Yes.
Now I realize that it's some people that don't have that foundation.
Right.
And when you look at them, you be like, you missing something.
Yep.
You missing something. You never set off in there and heard no good sermons, or
Yes.
you never went to a revival,
Right.
or you never heard the choir sing these tunes that moved the whole church.
Vacation Bible School.
So now I can appreciate that more as I've grown in my knowledge and in my understanding,
Yeah.
and in my wisdom.
Yes, in your wisdom. There you go. Yes, because again, like you said, the beginning of that, the bashing was just the pain of the, I'm gonna say what it is, the politics of the church. That part, you see what I'm saying, is what had us. Because I was, you see what I'm saying, I was right there in that boat. But I would say that I was a little more selective with, you know what I'm saying, who I was communicating with on the back on the church
I
bashing.
wasn't, man. I wasn't, man. I had family members that, hey, don't come in here with that shit.
Right.
Don't come in here with that today.
Yeah.
So
offensive. That's offensive.
Yeah, and now if I see him again, I'm going to apologize. You
That's
know what I'm saying?
up.
Because I didn't have my approach right. You know,
See?
95% is your approach.
That's right.
You know, and the other 5 is your delivery.
There you have it.
And I had it all messed up.
That's the wisdom kicked in. See?
Yes, sir.
That's what you call, you know, the development of your spirit, man.
Yes, sir.
That's all.
Yes, sir. When I woke up, I was just 3/5.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole time I wasn't nothing but a fifth.
Right.
And when I woke up, I had another 2 to add on to it, so I'm thinking I'm whole.
Exactly.
I thought I was whole when I got to be 3/5.
Gotcha. Yep, that's how it worked. You see what I'm saying? And then, you know, like we're saying, there's a maturation stage. You see what I'm saying? That everyone, it's a purging. You know what I mean? That you have to be purged of all of that 3/5. You see what I'm saying? Frequency, to where you've got it. You know what I mean? Totally out of your system, to where your vision is clearer. So when your vision is clear, of course, your thinking, you see what I'm saying, becomes clearer. And then, of course, right behind it comes the way you know what I mean, interact with the people and how you approach them on, you see what I'm saying, being a witness to knowledge of self. You know what I mean? Not like that zeal, it puts you in a place of, I want you to get it. I want everybody to get it. You know what I mean? You should get it. You know what I'm saying? Why you don't get it? Why you don't see? So, you know what I mean? That's just, you know, that's a part of the process. You see what I'm saying? And then, like you said earlier, the wisdom kicks in after you continue to, you see what I'm saying, detox of that 3/5 of a frequency, because it's ego driven. That's what it is. It's ego driven. You know what I mean? The 3/5 frequency is ego driven. I want to be right. I'm in the, you see what I'm saying? Look what group I'm in. I'm in this group of elite, yada yada yada. You see what I'm saying? And we have to be purged of that frequency. You see what I'm saying? And as you become more and more close to wholeness, you start to, of course, think different. You know what I mean? And then in turn, your life is gonna, you see what I'm saying? You'll get different results, of course. You're saying more holistic results, even as like we're talking about in the witnessing category, where you'll get a better response.
Right.
From, you know what I mean, who you're attempting to, you see what I'm saying, assist in straightening their walk up. Because they might, you know, have a lame walk to them. So, you know, that's what the light workers like ourselves, that's what we're here for, to shed light. You know what I mean? Where there's darkness, and then, you see what I'm saying, go from there. That's what, you know what I mean, I see the whole knowledge of self, you see what I'm saying, journey. That's what I see it, you know what I mean, the whole journey being about is making others better.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
And that starts with self.
And it has to, you see what I'm saying.
And in order for us to even be able to be at a point of our conversation, to step in front of the camera and to talk, it had to be some work done individually, and some time and hours spent, you know, regaining a purpose and what we really supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be doing it. So I already know my brother here done put some work in, and he got people that can come and be a witness to that as I can. So here we are now. I like how you always say, man, this is conversations, man, stemming around health, wealth, and knowledge of self.
Yes, sir.
And what else you call it, mate?
Clone-free Metacostal talk.
Come on, man.
And like we say, we broke down the Metacostal. We give it respect to the foundation. You
Got
see?
to.
We give it respect to the foundation because it was, you know, our introduction to spirituality. You know what I mean? And what we know as religion. And of course, like we're saying, those Sunday school lessons, you know, when it comes to the costal side of it, those Sunday school lessons, we want to, you know what I mean, use them to assist us in defining, you know what I mean, what this really means. And metaphysics, again, is how we do that. You know what I mean? Because metaphysics is how our spirit man relates to the as above, so below, as within, so without concept. You know what I mean? Meaning we have a spiritual ability to connect with the universal God, and there's laws, of course, that govern the universe. So when our spirit man connects with the universal God, we're talking metaphysics now. When our spirit man connects with the universal God, these universal laws, if obeyed, you see, will allow us as neophytes to get out of life what we individually was designed to get out of life. That's what the whole metaphysical part of it is about. You know, using metaphysics to define the Sunday school lessons or the Holy Bible, etc. That's what it's for.
So, in essence, what you're saying is that with the Bible or whatever religion it is that you are a part of,
right?
It's a surface, it's a top level to it, you know, that you can see with your two eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But as you begin to have your third eye open, or that pineal gland begins to receive that light, now you can get off into the deeper aspect of it.
That's it.
The metaphysical part, you know what I'm saying? That's what, or what they call it, the esoteric part of the word. Because you can read something, I can read something and see one part of it, and my brother read it and go to a whole nother level of understanding with it because his eyes have been opened to a deeper understanding. And again, understanding goes back to what you spoke about on the No Rona show.
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly what it does. You know, you have to, in your spiritual quest, man, you have to take the time to meditate. Oh yeah, I'm glad I said this too because I'm listening at the show last week, and I can't remember. I want to go look at the comments and see how you said it, but you were talking about what the real tithes and offerings was.
Yes,
Tell these folk, man, what your real tithes and offerings is, because for me, that's what I know enabled me to begin to gain a spiritual understanding or begin to be able to receive those divine messages that come from on high, that you hear in your ear, or you're somewhere, or some kind of synchronistic event that makes you think, damn, how did this happen? And you know it wasn't nothing but quote unquote God or the Most High that made that situation, but it was because of you was putting that time, you know what I'm saying, and grooming your mind and your spirit and your heart to that spiritual journey or something, man. That was deep when you talk about the tithes and offerings.
Yes, sir. Your brain, again, the theme of where we are right now. Remember the 12 powers of man. You see, your brain is the central. You see what I'm saying? Banking system. It represents the central banking system. That's where you get this concept of the central bank. It's from the brain, because the brain is operating in 12 different divisions. It's communicating with 12 different divisions of the body. So when we say that you're paying tithe and offering, actually taxes as well. You can use that word well. You paying your taxes, you see, to your real estate. You see, Your real estate being your human body. You see, because this is the original, going back to what we've been saying, everything outside of us, everything without has been created to mimic some part of the human body. You see what I'm saying? Either mimic some part of the human body or to be there to assist the human body in doing something. You see what I'm saying? In some certain type of operation. So with that being said, if each part of the body, you see what I'm saying, is considered real estate, that means that real estate needs some upkeep, you see? And that upkeep comes from the pineal gland, and what the pineal gland produces is the melanin. The melanin is the payment that we're talking about here. The melanin is the payment to the rest of the body, you see? Because the melanin is produced in the pineal gland, you see? There's information, you see, embedded inside of the melanin. There's information, you see, that is going to these 12 different divisions to allow or to assist these 12 different divisions, 12 of the body, that's, like we said, connected to 12 major organs. You see, there's information being what am I trying to say? Passed back and forth. Just, you know what I'm saying? Exchange. That's the word I'm looking for. There's being information exchanged from the melanin, you see, to these different organs. So these are examples of where you get the concepts of paying tax, tithe, and offering. You see, because remember, the human body represents a church as well. You see how that's working?
The temple.
The temple, you see? So if I'm paying tithe, you see, it's to the temple or to the church. If I'm paying tax or taxes, it's to my real estate. You see what I'm saying? And of course, an offering, the concept of offering that we have, of course, is from the church. But an offering would still be would still be defined as this melanin exchanging information with these different organs. You see, that still would be an example of an offering because your pineal gland is making the offering. The pineal gland cannot make the offering, cannot pay tax or tithe if it's in a calcified state. You see how that works? Now, the most important part of this whole lesson is to teach you, family, where your power is coming from. You see? So don't get lost in, man, what is it? It's talking about the brain and the pineal and this melanin, and it can pay tithe, it can pay offering, and it can pay. You see what I'm saying? Don't get lost. Let's stay focused here and know that the main theme of all of these lessons is the 12 powers of man. You see how that works? There's power wrapped up in your birthright. You see? Your birthright belongs to you just as well as your brain. You see how that works? It's yours. So it should operate in a natural state. You see how this is working? Not a 3/5 of a person state, meaning you're moving like a puppet. Now again, there are universal laws connected to all of these functions. You see? Your pineal gland is yours. It's not it's not a dots. You see how that works? It's your pineal. Now, if the pineal is producing something that allows you to develop holistically, you see, as it relates to metaphysics, and this, you see, the esoteric and the spiritual realm, that's all connected, you see, if your pineal is playing the major role in all of that and what it produces, which is the melanin, you see, this is actual factual here. See, this is non-debatable topics right now. We're simply talking about the powers of the human body. You see, that cannot be disputed. We need to get these lessons in our spirit, family. You see what I'm saying? Going back to paying tithe and offering. You see, it's important to know that that concept comes from my human body first, before a corporation got it and wrapped it up and mixed up a color of law to make it look like, you see, that it's real. When no, it's a imitation. The whole let's go ahead and go here. The whole going to church concept, your physical body going to what you call a church, is really inharmonious with natural law. You see, meaning that's not how this thing was designed. You are the church. You see, you are the temple. You are the synagogue. You are the mosque, your human body. Now, that's not to say, again, that you cannot go to any one of these buildings and get some type of spiritual guidance or help. That ain't what we're saying. But what we're saying is the organic way of living, you see, as it relates to 5/5, has more to do with self and how you do with self versus how you do with self and an organization. Like, what you know what I'm saying? What your position is in such and such and such and such. You should say whatever these egoic titles that, you know what I mean, that a lot of, you know, humans carry that make them feel like, you see what I'm saying, that they're that, whatever that egoic title is. I'm pastor, or I'm district missionary, or I'm, you know what I'm saying, I'm bishop, or I'm, you know what I'm saying, you know, all these egoic titles within these organizations is what we're saying. I'm chaplain president, or I'm, you see what I'm saying? All of these egoic titles are connected to, this is what we got to know, is connected to this 3/5 of a frequency. This 3/5 of a person's frequency, meaning it's not whole. You're taking a part of your organic self out. You're supposed to be obeying these universal laws, you see what I'm saying, and really keyed in on the fact that I have the power to make my situation better. It's up to me. You see what I'm saying? I self-law am master. You know what I mean? You have self-laws. You see what I'm saying? That it's imperative that you get in tune with and obey, because that's where the prosperity lies. The true prosperity. You see what I'm saying? It leads you to liberation. Again, the pineal, being the father of the brain, you see, produces what we call melanin. Melanin, watch this now, walk with me. You see, melanin is of a goldish color. You see. Now the pituitary, that's father, the pineal gland. So, because we still on what the good brother asked about paying, you see what I'm saying, tithe, offering, you see what I'm saying, and like we're saying, taxes. You can put all three of those concepts together, and when you do your due diligence, you'll find that the etymology of them all, or the origin of them all, comes from the ability for the brain to pay the rest of the body to do what it needs to do. And it pays it, again, in liquid form. The pineal produces melanin. Melanin is golden colored. The pituitary, which is the mother of the brain, produces a milky substance. You see? That's where we get the land of milk and honey. You see how that works? The Bible, the scriptures, is specifically talking about your brain. You see? Because this milky substance that the pituitary releases, it can be interrupted as well. Just like the pineal, the melanin that the pineal produces, this function can be disrupted by what the Bible labels riotous living. Riotous living is, in layman's terms, devilish living. That's what riotous living would mean. See, now you forfeit with riotous living, meaning, see, now this connected to your will. Remember, we still in the 12 Powers of Man series. Will is one of the 12 powers. So you, as we can see, we all are born with free will. You can do whatever the hell you want to do, or not. You see? But as we can see, when you get into the curriculum of knowledge of self, you'll find out that there are universal and divine laws that set up, and again, if you obey them, that's where the true prosperity lies. But if disobeyed, you forfeit your godly power. You see, that pineal will not produce the gold or the honey that the scriptures speak of. That pituitary will not produce this milky substance. You know what I mean? That when you do your due diligence, you'll find that it's colostrum. You know what I mean? It would be defined as colostrum, what the pituitary gland releases. See, now we talking, this is all metaphysics. See, what we talking here. And again, metaphysics is all through the Bible. You see what I'm saying? It's evidence of metaphysics all through the Bible. That's what the Bible is. It's a metaphysical piece of work. Really. Astronomical. There's astrology in there. You see what I'm saying? You know, and most of the people that were raised in my denomination, that we were raised in, the majority of them is gonna say that astrology is of the devil. You see, and the numbers, etc. Astronomy, astrology, but not knowing that the book, the whole book, is an astrology book. Is an astrology book. You see, and we gotta know these things. You see, we gotta know these things because again, the brain, the body, period, is like, you can liken it to machinery. And we know that if the machinery is faulty, if there's something wrong with it, the machine not going to work right. It's going to let you know that it's going to be some knocking noise, something going on with the machinery, you see. That even if it's a vehicle, you know, shit, man, my motor is knocking or something. Or my lifters, I hear my lifters ticking. You see what I'm saying?
You know when this vehicle that we inside of,
come on now,
when it's knocking, you know when something ain't right, and you need to go see some type of physician because your knee hurt, or you're hearing some type of ticking or something, or if you're hearing too much chatter in your head, you can't even hear your own thoughts. Let me just say this about the brain right quick in tithes. Because you can't go to church with physical money that you go out and earn on a job and think you're going to be able to pay for some type of spiritual benefit with cash.
Come on now.
You paying to keep the lights on in the church and the water bill paid and the piano player played,
right,
and the preacher played, and everybody else that has a job or function inside of that church. When we really talking about tithes and how you were just talking about the function of the mind and your brain with a pineal and the pituitary and all of the metaphysical aspects of your head or your mind, when you paying tithes, you are giving your time. You are giving your thoughts to God, or whatever you call that entity of the Most High. You're giving your thoughts to that. If you go to the gym and you're trying to work your biceps out, you got to go. If you work them out long enough, you're gonna have big old biceps. You do curls, you're gonna have biceps. Well, if you go and you give thought to God, or you put goodness or righteousness in, then you're gonna attract that. Then that spirit of the Most High is going to give you different pathways, and your journey is going to be another. I've been saying this word twice. Synchronicities of like a magical journey, because you putting your mind to it. Now you were saying if you're not living like that, or if your mind is full of devilishment or fuck shit, how we say it now, then your path is going to be filled with that. Those are going to be the results of what you hold in your mind, because what's in your head is what's dearest to your heart. So when you were talking about the tithes, it just really made me think about how that's how I always tell folks. I'm like, yo, if you really want to have a spiritual grounding, then you got to first have it here in your head. I mean, because you have to spend time in deep thought.
Yes.
Or even when you're driving, or when you're just late, before you go to bed, you got to be thinking about the Most High, or the goodness of it, or how to be appreciative and be grateful for the situation that you're in, or to even have enough desire to want to step out and be the godly person, or to be the person you think you are when you're paying tithes. Because when you're paying tithes in church, or you might put it in a little envelope and you pass it and put it in your tray, or you might go and walk around and you put your big 50 or 100. You're really doing it low key for show. Because again, this ain't gonna get you. You can't buy your way into spirituality.
Come on now.
So the only thing that's gonna get you there is what's in your heart, and it's got to be in your head first, or maybe it's in your heart first. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad you said that, because you remember the goal was to create in me a clean heart. You see? So going back to what you're saying, that heart need to be purified.
You know what? Again, brother, that makes sense. What they say when they on the walls of Egypt, they not weighing the brain.
Right.
Your brain ain't got to be light as a feather. It's your heart. That's why they say you got to have your heart right, and you got to have pure intent.
And remember, family. I'm glad you said that. Remember, we said for those of you that's been walking with us all the way through, meaning you caught the Walk With Me live session that I did by myself on the Sekond Sun channel. Remember, we just explained that the ancients, you see, referred to what we call the heart as just a blood pump, because it pumps blood to 12 different divisions in our body. Now, remember, we said that the cerebellum, which is connected to the pituitary gland, which is part of the mother brain. You see, the cerebellum, or what we call the animal brain of the subconscious, the image of it is where you can find this heart shape if you pull it up. But the ancients called the cerebellum the heart, because again, the cerebellum is heart shaped. And you can Google the image of the cerebellum, and you can see where the outline of what we know as the heart is on it. We're saying that because this is important. Because like the good brother said, in ancient Kemet, or what we call Egypt, which is the foundation of our spiritual inheritance, the brain, you see what I'm saying, was the brain was considered, or the cerebellum, the bottom brain, was considered the heart. Now, with that being said, the heart or the cerebellum or the mother brain is that what was being weighed. And again, as a man thinketh in his heart. You see how that works? In his heart. We talking about the cerebellum, not because you're not.
That's tough.
If I give you,
that's tough.
You see, if I give you, you know how we talk with our hands and we give gestures. If I say to you, look out, Lean, man. You know what? I've been thinking. And if I use a hand gesture to say I've been thinking, I'm not gonna say I've been thinking. But I'm gonna use that finger and put it where? You know what, Lean? I've been thinking, man. And that's also what? A temple. I'm touching the temple. So that's a temple. So inside the temple is God.
Come on.
You see how that works?
Come on, man.
Because inside the temple is where my brain is. That's God. Aries the ram.
Back to the head again.
The head.
Back to the head again.
Aries the ram, the head, the precious lamb of God. You see how that works? Now again, we have to know these things so we can decode. Because again, as a man thinketh in his heart, that means I'm thinking that we talking about this, the cerebellum. That means it needs to be in good shape. Because if it's not in good shape, I'm thinking in a riotous frequency. Riotous meaning devilish, meaning I'm working against my spirit, man.
I'm adding that word in my vocabulary.
You see? And what we need to do, family, this is what we need to do. We need to get in tune with these laws so we can goddamn gonna get like Debo on the spirit realm. You know how Debo is? We need our spirit man Debo'd up. You see? And when your spirit man get Debo'd up, knocking them out, knocking all the competition out, you know, Debo is intimidating. We already know who Debo is. So when you get your spirit man, you see what I'm saying, worked up like Debo, then you see, then we can get some righteous work done. Because these are the different lessons that we need as it relates to building up our spiritual endurance, our spiritual, you see what I'm saying, muscle. Again, we want that spirit man to have that Debo mentality on the spirit realm. But the only way that can happen is if, as a man thinketh in his heart, ye are gods. You see, you got to be knowing, you see what I'm saying, that you are God. And not thinking that you 3/5 of a person, which is equivalent to a slave. That's what that is. Ain't no way around that. You see? That's equivalent to a slave. If you thinking like a slave, you're gonna act like one, meaning you're gonna be operating on fear and fear alone. That's not one of the 12 powers of man.
Hey, when you say that about fear, you know, a lot of folks right now scared of, you know, what they talk about on the TV. I'm gonna go back to no Rona. Man,
got to know some
what
things.
did you say? The only two things people are scared of.
Naturally.
What? Listen to this, y'all.
Naturally, the humanoid, all human beings are born with only two fears.
Two fears.
One is the fear of loud noise. Two is the fear of falling. All other fears are politically induced. You see?
You had to say that on this one.
Politically
Come on, man.
induced or programmed.
And you can start right there at a baby. A baby ain't scared of shit, but falling off that bed, you can see them when they fall, and when they make loud, when any kind of loud noise,
They're gonna jump and run to you or cry
and
or
start
something.
crying.
That's it.
And that's fear of the unknown.
That's it.
Other than that,
It's politically programmed. And of course, now that we know what we know, it starts with the scary movies, you know, because we scared of the dark. Which, like I've always told my children and my little old niece and nephew now that with that boogeyman stuff, they know Uncle Boom Boom. They already know. He ain't no such thing as the boogeyman. We don't say that around here. You know what I'm saying? Because whether we know it or not, Jason, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, whether we know it or not, a lot of that starts, you see what I'm saying, the whole introduction to illusions of fear. Because we already know that, going back to the slave plantation field, remember that fear is being birthed out of the womb at this time. You see what I'm saying? Because we are already, you know what I mean, it's deeply indoctrinated in the program at this point, to where, you see what I'm saying, we don't need no extras. You see what I'm saying? We don't need no extras. And then, of course, after the baby, you see what I'm saying, grow up through, you know, Freddy Krueger and all that, then, you know, we got these different cliques. Let's talk about it. We got these different cliques at the independent school district. You know what I mean? And these different cliques, you know, you got what we call the bully. And the bully, you see what I'm saying, he or she causes another child to have even more fear. You know what I mean? Develop more fear about life. You see what I'm saying? Why are we saying
Yo,
because all of this needs to be discussed as a family. We need to discuss this, especially as it relates to sending our children to the school. Like, we really need to sit down with these babies and chop it up with them and get in their brain, because, you know, these different cliques cause depression. You see, because going back to riotous living and devilish living, see, it's devilish. Depression is that's a devilish frequency. That's a low vibration frequency. That's not a vibration from God. That's not a high vibration. Depression. And depression and anxiety, and, you know what I mean, this whole I don't fit in type, that started at school. You see what I'm saying? And that's important for us to break this down, because when we talk about the powers of man, remember the foundation of the power is coming from your brain. And if the baby brain is nerved up, you see what I'm saying? Not low self-esteem, confidence is low. See, all of this sets in, and it turns into, you see what I'm saying, sickness and disease. That's what we're talking about here. Now the pineal, this function of the pineal becomes disrupted, because there's been a artificial, you see, intelligence. That's what I want to call it, because it's corporately induced. Again, it's politics involved in this. Because the more zombies, you see, the better the corporation can thrive. The more zombies that's on record. And you, again, this independent school district and Sunday school both play a role in your zombiness. It'll set you off into a mode of, you see what I'm saying, this is all I know, so this is what I'm gonna do. And then, you see what I'm saying, I'll you know how we do, I'll patch it up. You know how we try to patch up a hole or whatever, you know what I mean? Not fix the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, and we'll go on and on and on. To before you know it, this baby done turned 65 years old and still dealing with the same depression that the baby was dealing with when she was, you know what I'm saying, he or she was at home with mama and them. You know what I mean? You see how it's important for us to sit down and have these types of conversations. Because again, the human body has a specific way of working, just like your automobile. You are not going to put water in the gas line. But you know water needs to be somewhere in your automobile. We know that this automobile can use water. It's not that it can't use water, but putting it in the water putting the water in the gas tank is a no-no. You're not finna open the oil filter cap and put transmission fluid in your oil. You see? What are we saying here? Depression is the same example of you putting water in the gas tank. That's depression. You see what I'm saying? It's not going to filter through your human godly system correctly, like it was designed to. You see? We can go on and on with different chemicals, you see, that we are exposed to as human beings. It's a lot of chemicals. We can go all the way to your mainstream toothpaste. You see? We can go to your mainstream soaps and deodorants. We can go to that. And we can equate it to this same analogy or example that we're given about your automobile. We know that this automobile, it requires liquids, different liquids, but you got to put them in the right spot, or the automobile is gonna be, you already know, tow up. You can't, you know what I mean? Man, you put that transmission fluid in that oil, come on, man. You can't even, you see what I'm saying? You instead of putting water in your battery, you done went and got some Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? You know, it might sound ridiculous, but we trying to make a point here. It's a certain way that the human body was designed, just like that car or that truck or that like we saying, that machine. Whatever machine you work on, you might be a machine operator at your gig. It's a certain way that machine operates. You need certain types of, maintenance that you need to come through to keep it, you know what I mean? Keep them parts coming out of it like it's supposed to, etc. That's the same way our body works. And guess what? We put a lot of goddamn toxins in our body. One toxin that we put in our body would be the mainstream media. Mainstream news outlets.
That's fear-based.
You see, same scenario. It's gonna cause this machine to not operate like it was designed to operate. You gonna go into a dysfunctional mode. You see?
Depression.
That ain't of God.
And that shit that you digest through your eyes, that's coming straight to your brain.
Absolutely.
That's touching straight to your heart. That's making you physically sick. Making you physically feel lesser than when you see a nigga get shot. Somebody else getting beat up. They firing at the job. Folks losing jobs. You know what I'm saying? Everything is really out of your control that they continue to just push down our throat. There's fear. Cut that shit off. You talk about the bully a minute ago, or I've heard celebrities say, they ask them how did they manage to get over the hump, and they be like, I faced my fears. How do you stop the bully from bullying? You hit him in his shit. That's the only way, is to take that shit head on.
That's it.
Otherwise, you're going to be, how my brother said, you're going to be 3/5. And what's easy to attack? Ain't nobody going to attack somebody that's whole. I'm going to go over there. If I'm looking for an easy target, I'm going to find somebody that ain't whole.
See, it's something.
But if somebody that's whole, I'm going to be, hesitant to go at them. They're not the easy target.
See, it's something. You see what I'm saying? And again, these are the type of conversations that we have to have, because we gotta know that it's a certain way that the human body works. We gotta know that because we going back to the church. This is important. The church and the part of the doing part. You see, the doing, the actions. You know how you plant a seed. You see what I'm saying? Now that seed needs some nurturing. It needs some water. It needs some sunlight, and it also needs some moonlight. We got to know that the growing go on when the moon is out. That's when you grow. You see? That's when the seed grows. That's when you grow, when you sleep. You see? And that's why, you know what I mean, it's important. Sleep is important. So don't get that twisted. You know what I mean? Now, of course. You know what I mean? We it's 2020, you feel me? We've advanced, so you see what I'm saying? It's a certain way, you know what I mean, that we gotta grind. We get that, you know what I mean? But we still have to keep in mind that sleep is important, because going back to the body, it operates a certain way. If the brain, you see what I'm saying, like we were talking about earlier, man, you know what I mean? You could get irritated when that stomach talking. You see what I'm saying? And that same irritation can come over you when you've been sleep deprived. You know what I'm saying? This insomnia that a lot of my family is going through, because you see it on social media. So you wake up on the AM and you see Family Guy, they just posted 4 hours ago. What time? It was 3 a.m. It's still up. You know what I mean? That time, you see that all the time, and they'll tell you, man, I'm up just scrolling on my timeline. I can't sleep. You see? And again, you see, you can't sleep because depression has set in. There's some anxiety that done set in. But you may not know it. You may not even realize it, but you're depressed. And a lot of your depression is connected to that 30-day billing cycle. Let's keep it real. You see what I'm saying? That's the bulk of your depression. That's why, again, we got to know these laws so we can work ourselves up out of that funk to where your spirit man is so strong to where it's leading and guiding you to where you taking care of the bills and all that. That's nothing. You see, your concentration is on something totally different now. You know what I mean? But your spirit man is what allows you to get to that point in life. Going back to the church, you see, that's what made me think of this. In my experience, the church, the way I look at it, this is my personal observation and the way I look at it, you see, which I'm entitled to. Okay, so anybody that they church pastor is, you see what I'm saying, you love them and it's all good at your church, okay, that's good for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy for you. But I'm speaking specifically now from personal experience of being growing up in the church with what we call a saved mother. You know what I mean? That's all I know. Like I tell people all the time, I've been to enough church for the whole East Texas. Facts. I've attended enough church services for everybody in East Texas to where y'all ain't even gotta go, man. I got you. I've been there. Let me tell you, this what they saying. Ain't but 1 or 2, 3 ways you can keep preaching joy coming in the morning.
Come on, man.
That's just what it is now. It ain't but 1 or 2, 3 ways you can teach. Hang on in there. Everything, you see what I'm saying? It's gonna be all right in the midnight hour, etc. You see what I'm saying?
You ain't
but I'm not
talking about Jesus on the man.
I'm not trying. You see what I'm saying? I ain't gonna go there.
Okay. I'm about to go there a little bit. Okay.
But I'm making a point that in my experience, the church allows one to move on blind faith. This is what I mean. You physically got yourself in a situation. You did it. Some laws were disobeyed that God, you see what I'm saying, intended for you to obey so you could prosper. But somewhere along the line, they were disobeyed. Then here come this, like the good brother say, this concept of feeling like you can pay your way out of it because you tithing and you at the revival, you've been here all week or whatever, you paid in the offering. So in your mind, you thinking that this sickness will be paid away, you see what I'm saying? Or will be prayed away without working. See, because prayer, that's just one way of showing the universe, or showing the universal God that you see what I'm saying, you concerned about something. That's prayer. That's one way.
And that's a good step to
that's a good step.
Listen.
It is. But the doing, you see?
That's the next level.
You got to do.
We so far removed, not everybody, but a generation is my age, are so far removed from that step in itself of just prayer.
Right.
Of just a small
3
minute, 2 minute, 30-second, 10-second of the day, which leads me back to the tithes and offerings of just saying, thank you, Lord.
Right.
Whether you're talking about the Lord Jesus Christ or the Lord of the universes, of the abundant universes.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you're not having that much conscious thought putting off into, again, the tithes and offerings of just saying thank you. Or just being like, man, I could have been, if it wasn't for something washing over me, man, I would have been fucked off by now.
Just in a grateful, in a grateful space. Yep. That's could be considered.
And so we wonder why we like I said, we are using the lessons, man, that we was brought up in inside of the church walls and really now have a deeper appreciation for that. But I also know through my peers that that's a lack, that people don't even have that much conscious thought to daily just say thank you.
Gotcha.
And then we wonder why we lack spiritually.
Gotcha.
Because you're not putting in the spiritual work. It's not, I mean, I'm not, we on 12 pounds a man right now. But I can tell you through a personal spiritual experience that didn't come from a book. It came from just me in my conscious head thinking about the goodness of God. And I'm saying that, man, and I mean with all my heart, thinking about how good God has been to me. Took me on a whole journey. One day I'm gonna talk about that.
Right.
But I just want to just say it's just the thought.
Yes. Look where the Lord brought me from.
You would be amazed at what would happen if you really gave your time in thought to the goodness of God, the Lord, whatever you call that spirit or that feeling. If you just give a little time to nourish and water the garden in your head, you know what I'm saying? So that the light can come down and shine and make it grow, you will be amazed that it don't take too much. It is no amount of money, and it don't matter what you're doing or where you at in your spirituality. You just, in order to have a greater understanding, and I know my brother finna get off into the wisdom aspect.
Wisdom.
Because one thing I always prayed for was knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
Yes, sir.
Didn't even, as a young child, didn't even know what it was really, but I knew that it was in the Bible, and I knew it was in Proverbs, and I knew that I needed to get it.
Yes.
So I prayed for it, and in that prayer, I know my prayers was answered because look at us now.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Alhamdulillah.
Look at us now.
Like the good brother said, 12 pounds a man. That's where we are in this session. We're talking about wisdom, judgment, wisdom and judgment. 12 pounds a man. Remember the first.
Go get the book.
Yeah.
Go to Amazon and order this book, The 12 Powers of Man. Easy read. It's not even that long, family. This book is basically 80 pages. 80 pages. And in the end, every chapter has a few questions, you know what I'm saying, to sharpen you up. It's 80 pages. You can read this in a day if you wanted to. You can read 20, and 20, 4 times, 20 pages, and you can have this book read. You know, we can all be on the same page. But
and get this righteous work done. You know what I mean? 12 powers of man. Wisdom, judgment. Page 15. That's where we are. And we're going through this chapter. We're just going to, you see what I'm saying, read through it and shed some light on it and then be out. The nearer, check this out. The nearer one comes to the absolute or cause side of existence. The greater is one's understanding that wisdom and order rule, and that he who joins wisdom and order rules with them. The nearer, the closer one comes, you see, the closer one comes to the absolute or cause side of existence, the greater is one's understanding that wisdom and order rule. Got that, family? Wisdom and order. See, remember there's divine order. Just like we said, you're not gonna put water in the gas tank. That's out of order. You see? That you can't rule that way. You sure ain't no drag racer. You not even gonna start from the starting line. You out from the beginning. Trying to drag race and putting water in the gas line. You see?
Order.
See how that works? Order.
Isn't that simple? Go ahead,
Simple.
You're not gonna wipe your ass then take a shit.
Come on now. You see?
I mean, we can say it a bunch of different ways to make you really think about the simplicity in what we saying. Don't make the shit overcomplicated.
That's the point. That's what we try to make it plain. That's it. Make it plain, like the ancients our ancestors always said. Make it plain to where the baby can see. Oh yeah, the baby can get. Oh, I understand that, Uncle. I understand that, Papa. Or you see what I'm saying? That's how we trying to lay it out. The greater is one's understanding that wisdom and order rule, and that he who joins wisdom and order rules with them. You got to join them. See, that go back to your free will. You got to make it up in your mind. You see what I'm saying? That you want to do right. That goes into what the brother was talking about as far as you got to do some work. You got to put some type of spiritual effort into this thing so you can get them results. You can't just be going down on your knees with that dead prayer. You going down there praying and then come up and you don't do no work. You don't do no work that adds to this prayer or meditation. You see what I'm saying? You just in looking for a savior mode. Like that straight Superman come, Wonder Woman, you know what I mean?
You just walking around the gym looking at all the equipment, but you want to get fit. You want muscles, but you ain't did no work.
Better jump on some. You see? Intuition, judgment, get this. We got to get this part. I'm on page 17 now. Down here at the bottom. Intuition, judgment, wisdom. Check this list now. Intuition, judgment, wisdom, justice, discernment, pure knowing, not believing, pure knowing, and profound understanding are natural to man.
Profound understanding. Profound. Natural though.
Natural to me. You going back to what you just said. You don't have to go pay for it. You can't pay for it. You can't
natural.
You can't go pay for it. It comes with your birthright.
Man,
remember? You see, that's the emphasis we trying to make. We trying to key in on the fact that it's all yours naturally. It come with you with your birthright. Where you get your birthright? From your mama.
Ooh.
You see?
Keep going, brother. Read how the Hebrew Israelites say. Read! Ooh, it's gonna get good.
All these qualities and many more belong to every one of us by and through his divine sonship. I said, ye are gods, and all of you sons of the Most High. The Christ proclaims in us all.
This in your Bible, man.
You see how that works?
This is in your Bible.
A quickening of our divine judgment arouses in us the judge of all the world. See, we talking about wisdom and judgment, remember? A quickening of our divine judgment arouses in us the judge of all the world. The wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable. It's pure, then it's about peace. Not about war, about peace. See? Catch that now. Wisdom. Over here on page 18, when we call this righteous judge into action, we may find our standards of right and wrong undergoing rapid changes. But if we hold steadily to the Lord as our supreme guide, the Lord, we talking about our pineal, remember? A uncalcified pineal gland. When we say Lord, remember? That's what we speaking of. Because remember, the pineal is what produces the melanin. And the melanin is the liquid elixir of life. Okay? That's what the melanin is. That's the elixir of life. That's what we searching for down here on this earth journey is pure melanin. Untampered with. You see? For it to hold to the Lord as our supreme guide, see? when it's uncalcified, that pineal is going to be our supreme guide. We shall be led into all righteousness.
Ooh.
You see, that's when that pineal is in an uncalcified state. Going back to intuition, judgment, wisdom, justice, discernment, pure knowing, and profound understanding. You see?
And let me add, back to what we was talking about, to the tithes and offerings.
Okay.
So when you have your mind again on spiritual aspects of life, or where you trying to go, where
Yes.
you've been,
Yes.
being thankful, being grateful, you're going to be led into all righteousness. Because your mind is pure, your thoughts are pure, and you have it in your heart that you want to be like
Work.
that of God.
Work.
But if you not, what's that word you use, brother? The R word. I told you this, I'm putting it into my lexicon. What was it? It's raya.
Riotus.
But if your thoughts are, I don't know if I'm using it right, but if you got riotous thoughts,
That's it.
you will not be led in righteousness.
Riotous.
You will be led in devilishment.
That's it.
Because that's where your mind, your heart is. And that's completely the opposite direction of everything that we walking with. We not walking, we don't ask you to walk with us into riotous.
Yeah.
We ask you to walk with us in righteousness.
Righteousness.
Now don't think that we won't put some on your damn head.
Uh-oh.
You know, because we still go by the Old Testament laws of an eye for an eye.
Yes, sir.
But we are not coming, you know what I'm saying, to bring that. We're only going to give you the energy that you hear of us.
Right on.
But again, it's all going back to, again, the tithes and offerings, the wisdom, the righteousness, the understanding. It's all tying together back to what you always say is going to lead you to somewhere inside the body. And right now we're on the brain. We're on the head, the mind. Wherever your mind is, your ass will follow.
Talk to me.
So again, all these aspects,
Intuition, judgment, wisdom, justice, discernment, pure knowing, not belief, and profound understanding. All natural to man.
and it says, if we hold steadily the Lord as our supreme guide, like you just read. I'm gonna say it again, because this is it. This is the lesson.
Yes, sir. This is it.
If you hold steadily the Lord as our supreme guide, we shall be led into righteousness.
Yes, sir.
Righteousness is what? Like, righteousness is not just being a square. It's everything that you want out of life. It's the prosperity. It's the good health. It's the strong mind. It's the everything opposite of depression.
Yeah, absolutely. Clone free. You see?
It's all. It's that.
Whole. You whole now. You see what I'm saying?
Because of what because the thoughts you have here and the time and the tithes and the tithes or the time or the offerings or the thoughts that you give to the Most High.
Absolutely.
Leads you into righteousness, man. This is no joke, man.
At all. This is where, like we're saying, the family needs to concentrate in on as it relates to healing. We have to delve into the specific way of healing, and as we can see, again in this chapter is titled Wisdom, Judgment, because of course you have to. It's imperative that you tap into your wisdom, your divine wisdom. You see what I'm saying? In order to be able to judge accordingly. And when we say judge, that means you able to separate good from evil, to where you not waddling in the mud with evil.
People always try to say, well, you so quick to judge somebody. What the hell am I supposed to do?
Exactly. That's for protection. And that's been an indoctrination. Like we say, when we hear that word judge, we get defensive.
Right.
We get, you see what I'm saying? We get scared. We don't want to deal with that because we want to always rely on the fact that nobody's perfect, and you see what I'm saying. But this is my question to that. So where's the standard set then? Where along the way does the standard get set? If we're going to continue, you see what I'm saying, lean toward, well, nobody's perfect, everybody make mistakes. We know that. But again, as spiritual maturation, you see, as that process goes on, as you mature in your spirit, man, remember, the things you used to do, you don't do no more.
Wow.
The places that you used to go, you don't go no more.
Wow.
You see, that's judging. That's a form of judging, because your spirit, man, has matured to the level of where you're not comfortable in those places no more. You're not comfortable saying that no more. You're not comfortable eating that anymore. You're not comfortable, you see what I'm saying, watching that anymore. You're not comfortable in indulging in that celebration of, you know what I mean, firecrackers and we free Independence Day. Except, you see how that works? It's okay.
I'm gonna tell you what.
As you spiritually mature to separate yourself.
I'm gonna tell you what is okay. A lot of people might say, man, you racist.
Right.
You always want to play that race card, you race shit. I'm gonna say what and how our great teachers always say, we don't have enough power to be racist. But you know what I am? I'm prejudiced than a motherfucker.
Okay.
And what does that mean? Break the word down.
Break it down.
Prejudice. You got pre, and then you got judge off in there. Because I have the wisdom enough to prejudge every situation, person, place, or thing before I say if I want to be a part of it or not. So why wouldn't I be prejudiced if it's something that I'm sitting back analyzing, saying, you know what? That's not of me. That's not of my spirit. That's not of anything that I stand for. I'm prejudiced than a motherfucker. No, we're not racist. I brought that in there because that's something they always want to call us, because we always let you know who we are and who our enemy is. Mm-hmm. But we didn't start that shit, and we didn't put that race card in the deck. But prejudice, since we're talking about judgment, why wouldn't you be prejudiced? If you showing me something that who you are, what you are, then I should judge you before I get in there. I should prejudge you before I step my foot off in there. We back on judgment. That's wisdom, though.
That's protection. Again, that judgment. Again, wisdom in this section, wisdom and judgment is connected.
This is what it say right here. This is what it say. Wisdom includes judgment, discrimination, intuition, and all departments of mind that come under the head of belief. No.
Of what is that word? It ain't belief. Of what?
Knowing.
You see? Man, know thyself.
Not man, believe thyself.
Not man, wonder about thyself. You see? But know. Emphatically. You see, that means you done put the pieces together. History, science, and law. Remember that? The organic trinity that we, at this point, at this stage in our life, we need to stay concentrated in on is history, science, and law. You see? Because that's where we go back and get these lessons, and then it allows our spirit man to get in Debo mode. You see? Because we powering up on the spirit realm. And we'll Debo at any time. Whoever, whatever gets in the way. You see? Wisdom includes judgment. You got that. You got to judge in order to be wise. I got to separate myself from foolishness. Because remember, the law of attraction will get me caught up. See, these are universal laws. See, this ain't these laws right here, they universal. They not
good or bad. It's not good or bad.
They straight fair. It's all about your free will. What you decide to get involved in. And again, wisdom includes judgment, discrimination. I have to be able to discriminate against boo-boo energy. hey man, listen, they on boo boo. You see what I'm saying? I'm of age now. Again, I'll be the big 4-4 at the end of July. You see what I'm saying? It's certain, like we were saying earlier. You see, like we say all the time. When the camera not on, we got some good stuff going on. You see what I'm saying? Where it would benefit. But like we said, that's just our warm up.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said earlier, when I was a child, I thought as a child. Off camera.
That's scripture.
You see what I'm saying? And when I became a man, you see what I'm saying? I thought a man stuff. So therefore, when I become a man, I'm gonna have to discriminate against the boy stuff that I used to do. Duh. Don't that make sense?
Come on.
You see what I'm saying? Don't that make a logical sense? That when I become a man, you see, and that my spiritual man, you see, of course, because it's the guider of all of this, the leader and guider of all of it. When my spirit man becomes in Debo mode, once again, I have to be able to discriminate from the boy stuff I used to do. That makes sense. I'm not a boy no more. Damon,
you are a man.
You are a man, not a boy. You see what I'm saying? And you again, in order to exercise this God-given ability of wisdom, you got to work out. It got some. You got to do some spiritual man working out, and spiritual man working out is equated to what I used to do. I don't do no more. You see what I'm saying? It's equated to the exercise. You got to start exercising, physically exercising.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? That's an example. Physical exercise, refraining from low vibrational everything, whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? Especially that mainstream media, TV outlet stuff. That's really the main
bullshit.
You see what I'm saying? That's part of you spiritually working out. Because as you are conquering or mastering lower self, that allows higher self to start running you. Mm-hmm. Like it takes over. Higher self does versus the other way. Because this 3/5 of a person frequency is created for lower self to run you. We've been, you see what I'm saying, corporately programmed to operate on lower self only. And again, lower self only means that pineal is in a calcified state. It's in a calcified state of mind. That's what that means when we're talking about lower self living or lower self lifestyle that you're leading. You see what I'm saying? The example of that would be the 3/5 of a person frequency running you. You know what I mean? Meaning you have no sense of, first of all, knowledge of self, but you have no sense of culture and how to live, how to bring, you see what I'm saying, to you what you need for your situation. Bring it to you. Law of attraction. We've been programmed again on a low vibrational where we don't even realize that you're attracting all of that low vibrational results that you're getting. You know, when you find some people that say, every time I turn around, it's something. It seems like I can't never get over the hump. You know what I mean? Nothing good never happens for me. Damn. These be the main people watching VH1, you see what I'm saying, and all that devilishment, Bravo, you see what I'm saying, all that, you know what I mean? I try not to get these goddamn corporate, these agents, shot, but you have to speak, you have to say, you know what I mean?
You can say this too. These are also the main ones that never keep their word. Oh. Their word is never they bond. Oh. They lack discipline. Because now you have the external factor of what you listening to, the gossip that you listening to, the TV shows that we saying turn off,
the shade room.
All of that right there are external factors as to why shit don't never go how it's supposed to. But you got to also analyze the internal factors of, again, the tongue that's in your own mouth.
Uh-oh.
When you speak words,
The word is
are
God.
you speaking words that you are standing on and living out in your actions? Or are you speaking words that you never show no fruits of what you're saying? Are you lying to yourself and lying to everybody you speak to? Are you saying you're going to do something and standing on it and you're doing it? Because once you begin to do that, then the spirit man or the voice that brings in the divine messages, it gets louder and it speaks to you in a tone that you can't ignore. But if you keep on lying to yourself and telling yourself, I'm gonna go to the gym this week, I'm gonna stop doing this,
Never
I'm gonna stop doing this, and then you never do it, that voice in your head is getting quiet.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Until finally their voice
Can't hear no more.
say, I'm not finna tell this nigga shit.
Not fooling with
This
you.
nigga been lying to himself for 720 days. So why would I even waste my time? It's your own spirit guide, your own self, the ancestors, whatever you want to call it, Jesus, whatever you want to call it.
That's right.
You have lacked discipline for so long that the voice of the Most High has been drowned out by the doubt and the disbelief that you've shown with your own actions. That's why I always tell people, and I told myself, I trained myself to listen to their voice when it speaks to me, because I know it's coming from something from on high. But before I could listen to it, I had to drown out the voice of disbelief, my own voice that when shit was going wrong, damn, man, this shit fucked up, or damn, everything I do, I fuck up. You got to slay that voice until you can build it back up and build your own self-confidence back up in righteousness.
Yes.
It don't matter, like I say, man, it don't matter what you're doing. Are you doing it with a pure heart? Are you doing it to harm people? Or are you doing it because you got pure intentions, man? You trying to make right. Because if you are, and you obey that, then you will be led again, how I say right here, into righteousness. But if you don't obey the spirit, this voice gonna get quieter and quieter until you drown it out. And now everything you hear is what we all hear from people, man. It seems like they just can't get right, man. It's just fucked up. I heard this say, man, ain't nobody fucking with me. You ain't messing with yourself, bucko. You don't even believe half the shit you say, but you want to try to convince everybody else. And if you did, then it will show in your actions. It will show in the quality of your life would have been changed. You will be eating different. You will be talking different.
Yes.
You will have a different group of people around you.
Come on now.
But you don't, because you don't even walk and talk in the shit that you believe in, that you say you believe in. But you want everybody else to know, man. That ain't how this consciousness, that ain't how this spirituality, that's not how it works. You can get by maybe, and this ain't no knock. You can get by maybe going to church, paying tithes, showing up. You might can get by like that for only so long, only so much you can benefit, until you start to put that work in for yourself. That's all.
Period. And that, all of that, like you said, evolves around, is your heart pure or not? See, creating me a clean heart, remember? And renew in me the right spirit. See how we got these words? Listen to the words now. The word is God. Because that's your way to or holistic results as it relates to your life and how it pans out. Is your heart pure? See, that takes, like the good brother was just saying, some discipline. You got to take something out. You see, you got to, you know what I mean, cut something off and start and replace it with something of a higher vibration. You see, where you're not doing no physical workout, you see, you done turned your favorite, quote unquote, favorite show off, and you put a little more time in your workout physically or mentally by reading and researching. We ain't telling you to, you see what I'm saying, run through the one book in 1 hour. You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? We ain't if you know what I'm saying, pressed for time or whatever. You know what I mean? Your schedule is pretty demanding. Get you a little 30-minute reading.
Start somewhere.
That's how you start and build. Get you a little 30-minute reading or 20-minute reading or whatever. You say, well, I'm going to read a chapter a day or whatever. Along with some physical working out, you see what I'm saying? And a lot of cutting out, you see what I'm saying? A lot of bullcorn on you see, as far as you see what I'm saying, something that has your spirit man weighed down. Like, when we say spirit man weighed down, we mean you are physically indulging in some type of activity that your spirit man does not benefit from. That's what we mean. You see what I'm saying? And there's we can go. We done already went through the list of things that we talking about, examples that we can give to where you're spending your time in riotous living. You see, that meaning that's what the prodigal son was doing. Y'all remember the prodigal son? He indulged in riotous living.
I was him.
I was him. You see what I'm saying?
That was me.
He is me. I am him. You see what I'm saying? And was him. Excuse me. Was, like the good brother said. That was me.
Facts.
Riotous living. Waking up motivated by riotous living.
Facts. That's type of bullshit I'm gonna do today.
You see, that was the whole motivation of the movement. Riotous, nothing righteous. You see. Now again, when I was a child, I thought as a child. That's just what that is. Now that I'm a man, you see,
Hey,
I got to
check
switch
this
my
out.
swag up.
Check this out though about that prodigal son, man.
Uh-oh.
After all of the world that he went out and through everything that he learned or knew how he was brought up and said, to hell with all that, and went out to the world. And when he finally came back, you got the father that welcomed him back to the house with a feast. Go kill the biggest, healthiest, whatever. And so we see that as a young man that walks out into the world and his physical father, after he done came back, welcomes him and throws a party for him because his son came back. But if we go deeper, like we've been saying we doing, this is for every man or every woman or every child that has lived their life and got away from the power of God or the spiritual walk that you're supposed to be on. It don't matter what you done went out there in that world and did, man. If you put your heart in the right spot and say, man, to hell with this, I'm going back to get my spirit man right. I'm going back to get my heart right with God. And we use God, Allah, whatever you want to call that spirit.
Jah.
Whatever you call it.
Yahweh.
When you want to come back to that spirit welcomes you back. Because you know why? Because your heart can be judged by that. Or your heart, like my brother just pointed out,
Right on.
can be judged by that because you can't lie. Because you know why? Because I can lie to you, but I can't lie to myself. So if I know my heart is pure, my mind is pure, then the spirit that connects to that the omnipresent.
Yes, sir.
You can't lie to that. And the truth in that will be, oh, you've been out here fucking up for 15 years, but get you back.
Yeah, I've been waiting. Been waiting on you, son.
Come get the treasures.
It's been, you know what I mean? The inheritance been sitting there collecting dust.
It's all yours. It is all yours.
Get in.
It has been yours the whole time.
You got to claim it. You been on 3/5. You think 3/5 is your God.
Right.
You see? You looking to them for all of this that I have for you, son. You see how that works? You got your eye on the lotto. Don't you know that's we got, come on, man.
The winning number been right here the whole time. The Powerball right here.
You are the lotto, son.
Come on.
I gave you everything you need. formed you in your mother's womb. You see? You playing. You the one playing. Stop playing. You know, that's just how this works. Now again, we have to have somebody to lead and guide us into ye are God's lane. You know what I mean? 'Cause we've been taken far away from ye are God's lane. You done made this entity outside of you be your God. And with that being said, you feel like that your prosperity, your success lies in the hands of the enemy. Now, how goofy do that sound?
Believer.
The enemy, believer, don't know, believer. Exactly. See, you've been believing too much. You know, we done eased out of the age of belief. That was the Piscean age. You see, that's the whole Jesus thing. You see, now as you can see, the babies is waking up to like, hey man, hold on. This ain't this whole, you know what I mean?
Right.
Jesus, he died on the cross for my sins, etc. You know what I mean? Like, and where is he? See, the baby, they starting to wake up and look for him and like, hey, then, hold on now, this ain't. Nah,
I mean, y'all been waiting for how long for this boy to come back,
come
man?
on, now. Ain't nobody, chill out.
Ain't nobody seen it?
Yeah, stop that. You feel me? Logic. Come on now. Logic is one of the 7 liberal arts. Logic. That means you using your brain. Remember? The brain, going back to, see how important that brain, again, family, this machine was designed to work a certain way. You're not going to be able to think godly thoughts when you are heavily saturated and heavily indulged in a program that was created for your demise, not for your progress, not for your holistic, you see, progress, or not for you to be whole. You've been, you see what I'm saying? And when we say you, I mean my family as a whole, my people, the melanoids, the so-called blacks, here in the wilderness of North America. You see, you've been, of course, bamboozled on it, but time, it's 2020 now. You see what I'm saying? It's time to go ahead and stop playing and act like you know that it's been a game played on you. Like Baba Dick Gregory say, it's a game. It's a game, but you got to know the rules. You got to figure out the rules so you can play this thing the correct way. And the rules is embedded in what? Your birthright. Your birthright is connected to what? Divine law, not corporate law. See how that works? That's your 3/5 of a person that's connected to corporate law. Remember? 3/5, mind, body, and soul. But your whole self, you see, is connected to God, the universal God. Like the brother say, some call this divine intelligence by, there's a lot of different nations of people that call this divine intelligence by a different name. You see, we well advanced in our spiritual awareness now to where we don't even get caught up in what you call this power. We not, go ahead, whatever. Like the brother say, Jesus, God, whatever you want to say. Allah, you see what I'm saying? Muhammad, Yahweh, Yahshua, Ra. You know what I mean? Whatever, you can't miss us on none. It's all ours. All of it. The version that comes from the Buddhist school of thought, the Judaism, Christianity, Islam, it's all ours. Kemetic, you see what I'm saying? Our Kemetic sciences that was passed over to the Moors, you see what I'm saying? Which, of course, it turned into Moorish science. It was Kemetic science first, then the Kemites passing on over to the Moors, and just like any nation of people, you take the teachings and you advance them more. That's what you do. You produce more with the teachings.
What you doing right now?
And that's the whole moral of the story. It ain't to get caught up in this egoic division of I'm from East Africa. I ain't from North America. I'm from South. I'm a Methodist. I'm a Church of God in Christ. I'm a Baptist.
Same type of division.
Same division. We ain't. That's over, man. That's enough of all that, man. We need to be keyed in on the human, the wonders of the human body. George W. Carey, one of my favorite readings. The wonders of the human body.
Y'all might want to Google that book and go try to get it.
That's what we need to be keyed in on, George W. Carey. The wonders of the human body. Because there are wonders. You see what I'm saying? Matter of fact, there's 7 different specific wonders that's connected to your higher self that you got to nurture. So you can, we're talking about the chakras now when we say the 7 wonders of your higher self. You got seven spiritual divisions, you see, that's connected to these 12 powers of man that you need to know about, again, because that's where the power is. We got to do, again, the power is in the human body. It's in the machinery. That's where you get all your results from. It's from within. Self-law, first. We got to know that. Because otherwise, we'll be continuously looking outside of us for liberation. And again, if you're looking outside of liberation to the enemy, that's retarded. That's not logical. You see what I'm saying? If that's where you're looking, because of course we human nature has it set up that we need a teacher. There ain't no way around that. You see? And our first teacher, of course, is our mother. We already know that. And an extension of that teaching is our father. We already know that. You see? So with that being said, as long as you need some teaching, you need to have the discernment, remember? You need to have the ability to discriminate, remember? Because see, everybody, you can't go sitting at everybody's table and eating off everybody's table, remember? You see? Especially as it relates to your spiritual journey and the health of your spirit, man. You can't go eating off anybody's table now, you see? Now, I know, I grew up, I don't know about y'all, I grew up, you know what I mean? Mama and them was pretty particular. You see what I'm saying? You just couldn't, I couldn't even, as a youngin', I couldn't even go do a lot of spending the night with folk and all that. What? You see what I'm saying? So if I can't go to spend the night, I sure you just can't be eating at everybody's table. Because, again, if you're sitting down at the devil's table, okay, what you think you digesting? Yeah, that's the devil's food. So the devil's food nourishes, you see? Well, some food nourishes the body. But whatever you eat, that food is sending chemical, you see what I'm saying, responses. It's sending chemical messages. Excuse me, not responses. But this food is sending chemical messages to all of these 12 different divisions of your body, remember? Because your bloodstream is doing a 360-degree circle around at all times. That heart, that blood pump, remember? The blood pump is pumping that blood to 12 different divisions of the body. Now, if you putting in you see, devilish food, because the blood is what's in the blood is what's communicating with these 12 divisions of the body. You remember, connected to the 12 major organs. You have cells in each one of these organs. You got kidney cells, you have lung cells, you have brain cells. They tell me that you have billions of brain cells. You see? Now, let's think about this real quick now before we get out of here. Cells are like little brains. Cells are. Your cells. They have intelligence inside of them. The cells have to be fed. You see how this works? And what you eat and drink is what the cells getting, because that's what the bloodstream is getting. Now, if you eating devilish food, your cells and your bloodstream is toxic. It's full of toxins. And your bloodstream is doing a 360-degree circle in your body, sending all this toxic information, it is sending all this toxic information to each department or each division out of the 12 in your body. Now, what is the response out of this machine that you think you're going to get? You can't get no godly response out of this machine if you sending devilish food down the system. Because it's a system, you see. With your body works, circulatory system, respiratory system, you see, digestive system. You see, your body is made up of all these systems. It's very important that you know that what you eat, what you drink, and even what you watch and what you listen to has a chemical, you see. It has a chemical responsibility, you see, as it relates to how the human body works. That's why it's very important to